1. C. The morning room of Algernon Moncrief's flat in Half Moon Street, London. The flat is luxuriously and artistically furnished.
Do you hear what I'm playing, Lane?
I didn't think it polite to listen, sir.
I'm sorry for that. For your sake. I don't play accurately. Anyone can play accurately. But I play with wonderful expression. As far as the piano is concerned, sentiment is my forte. I keep science for life.
Yes, sir.
And speaking of the science of life, have you got the cucumber sandwiches cut for Lady Bracknell?
Yes, sir.
That will do, Lane. Thank you.
Yes. Mr. Earnest Worthing.
How are you, my dear Ernest? What brings you up to town?
Oh, pleasure. Pleasure. What else brings one anywhere?
Where have you been since last Thursday?
In the country.
Oh, what on earth do you do there?
When one is in town, one amuses oneself. When one is in the country, one amuses other people. It is excessively boring. Oh, hello. Why all the cups? Why the cucumber sandwiches? Why such reckless extravagance in one so young? Who is coming to tea?
Oh, merely Aunt Augusta. And Gwendolyn.
Oh, how perfectly delightful.
Yes, that is all very well, but I'm afraid Aunt Augusta won't quite approve of your being here.
May I ask why?
My dear fellow, the way you flirt with Gwendolyn is perfectly disgraceful. It is almost as bad as the way Gwendolyn flirts with you.
I am in love with Gwendolyn. I have come to town expressly to propose to her.
I thought you had come up for pleasure. I call that business.
Oh, how utterly unromantic you are.
Please don't touch the cucumber sandwiches. They were ordered specially for Aunt Augusta and Gwendolyn. You are not married to her, and I don't think you ever will be.
Why on earth do you say that?
I don't give my consent.
Your consent? Ha!
My dear fellow, Gwendolyn is my first cousin, and before I allow you to marry her, you must clear up the whole question of Cecily.
Cecily? I don't know what you mean, Auntie. What do you mean by Cecily? I don't know one of the name of Cecily.
Bring me that cigarette case Mr. Worthing left in the smoking room the last time he dined here.
Yes, sir.
Do you mean to say you've had my cigarette case all this time?
Now that I look at the inscription inside, I find that the thing isn't yours after all.
Of course it's mine. You've seen me with it 100 times. And you have no right whatsoever to read what is written inside. It is a very ungentlemanly thing to do, to read a private cigarette case. I want my cigarette case back.
Yes, but this isn't your cigarette case. This cigarette case is a present from someone of the name of Cecily. And you said you didn't know anyone of that name.
Well, if you really want to know, Cecily happens to be my aunt.
Your aunt!
Yes, charming old lady she is too. Lives in Tunbridge Wells. Give it back, Algy.
Yes, but why does she call herself Little Cecily if she is your aunt and lives at Tunbridge Wells? From Little Cecily, with her fondest love.
My dear fellow, what on earth is there in that? Some aunts are tall, and some aunts are not tall. For heaven's sake, give it back!
Yes, but why does your aunt call you her uncle? From Little Cecily, with her fondest love, to her dear uncle, Jack. Besides, your name isn't Jack, it is Earnest.
It isn't Ernest. It's Jack.
always told me it was Ernest. I've introduced you to everyone as Ernest. You answer the name of Ernest. You look as if your name was Ernest. It's the most earnest person I ever saw in my whole life. It's perfectly absurd. You're saying your name isn't Ernest.
Well, in town I am Earnest, and in the country I am Jack. And the cigarette case was given to me in the country.
Yes, but that does not account for the fact that your small Aunt Cecily, who lives in Tunbridge Wells, calls you her dear uncle. Come, old boy, you had much better have it out at once. Tell me the whole thing. I may mention that I've always suspected you of being a confirmed and secret Bunburyist, and I'm quite sure of it now.
Bunburyist? What do you mean by a Bunburyist?
I'll reveal to you the meaning of that incomparable expression as soon as you are kind enough to inform me why you're Ernest in town and Jack in the country.
Well, produce my cigarette case first.
Here it is. Now, produce your explanation, and pray make it improbable.
My dear fellow, there is nothing improbable about my explanation at all. In fact, it is perfectly ordinary. The late Mr. Thomas Cardew, who adopted me when I was a little boy, made me in his will guardian to his granddaughter, Miss Cecily Cardew. Cecily, who addresses me as uncle out of motives of respect you could not possibly appreciate, lives at my place in the country under the charge of her admirable governess, Miss Prism.
Now go on. Why are you Ernest in town and Jack in the country?
My dear Algy, in order to get up to town, I have always pretended to have a younger brother who goes by the name of Earnest, who lives in the Albany and gets into the most dreadful of scrapes. That, my dear fellow, is the whole truth. Pure and simple.
You are one of the most advanced Bunburyists I know.
What on earth do you mean?
You have invented a very useful younger brother called Ernest in order that you may be able to go up to town as often as you like. I have invented a perfectly invaluable permanent invalid in order that I may be able to go down into the country whenever I choose. Bunbury is perfectly invaluable.
I am not a Bunburyist at all. If Gwendolen accepts me, I shall kill my brother. Indeed, I think I'll kill him in any case. Cecily is a little too much interested in him. It is rather a bore, so I shall get rid of Ernest. And I strongly advise you do the same with with your invalid friend with that absurd name.
Nothing will induce me to part with Bunbury, and if you ever get married, which seems to me extremely problematic, you'll be very glad to know Bunbury. Ah, that must be Aunt Augusta. Only relatives or creditors ever ring in that Wagnerian manner. Now, if I can get her out of the way for 10 minutes, so you have an opportunity of proposing to Gwendolen, may I dine with you tonight, Wilson?
I suppose so, if you want to.
Lady Bracknell and Miss Fairfax.
Good afternoon, dear Algernon. I hope you are behaving very well.
Oh, I'm feeling very well, Aunt Augusta. Dear me, you are smart.
I'm always smart, am I not, Mr. Worthing?
You are quite perfect, Miss Fairfax.
And now I'll have a cup of tea and one of those nice cucumber sandwiches you promised me.
Ah, certainly, Aunt Augusta.
Gwendolen, won't you sit here?
Thanks, Mamma, I am quite comfortable where I am.
Good heavens, Lane! Why are there no cucumber sandwiches? I ordered them specially for Aunt Augusta.
There were no cucumbers in the market this morning, sir. I went down twice.
No cucumbers?
No, sir. Not even for ready money.
That will do, Lane. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I'm greatly distressed, Aunt Augusta, about there being no cucumbers available. Not even for ready money.
It really makes no matter, Algernon. And here I've got quite a treat for you this evening. I'm going to send you down with Mary Farquhar. She's such a nice woman, and so attentive to her husband. It's quite delightful to watch them.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to give up the pleasure of dining with you tonight after all.
I hope not, Algernon. You will put my table completely out.
It is a great bore, and I need hardly say, a terrible disappointment to me. But the fact is, I have just had a telegram to say that my poor friend Bunbury is very ill again. They seem to think I should be with him.
It's very strange. This Mr. Bunbury seems to suffer from peculiarly ill health.
Yes, poor Bunbury is a dreadful invalid.
Well, if you ask me, it's high time this Mr. Bunbury made up his mind whether he was going to live or die. Shilly-shallying with the question is absurd.
I'll speak to Bunbury, Aunt Augusta, if he is still conscious. And I think I can promise you he'll be all right by Saturday. Of course, the music is a great difficulty. If one plays good music, people don't talk. If one plays bad music, people don't listen. But I'll run over the programme I've drawn out if you'll kindly accompany me into the next room.
Thank you, Algernon. That is very thoughtful of you. I'm sure the programme will be delightful. Gwendolen, you will accompany me.
Certainly, Mamma.
A charming day it has been, Miss Fairfax.
Pray do not speak to me about the weather, Mr. Worthing.
Miss Fairfax, ever since I met you, I have admired you more than any girl I met since I met you.
Well, my ideal has always been to love someone by the name of Earnest. There's something in that name that inspires absolute confidence. The moment that Algernon first mentioned it to me that he had a friend called Earnest, I knew I was destined to love you.
Do you really love me, Gwendolen?
Passionately.
Oh, darling, you don't know how happy you have made me.
My own dear Earnest.
But do you mean to say you couldn't love me if my name wasn't Earnest?
But your name is Earnest.
Yes, I know it is, but supposing it was something else, do you mean to say you couldn't love me then? Personally, darling, to speak quite candidly, I never really much cared for the name of Earnest. I don't think it suits me at all.
It suits you perfectly. It is a divine name. It has a music of its own. It produces vibrations.
Well, really, Gwendolen, I think there are lots of much nicer names. Jack, for instance. A charming name.
Jack? Oh no, there is very little music in the name Jack, if any at all indeed. It does not thrill. It produces absolutely no vibrations. No, the only really safe name is Earnest.
Gwendolen, I must get christened at once. I mean, we must get married at once. There is no time to be lost.
Married, Mr. Worthing?
Yes. Will you marry me, Gwendolen?
Of course I will, darling.
Mr. Worthing! Rise, sir, from this semi-recumbent posture. It is most indecorous.
Mamma, I'm expecting to retire. This is no place for you. Besides, Mr. Worthing is not finished yet.
Finished what, may I ask?
I am engaged to Mr. Worthing, Mamma.
Oops. Pardon me. You are not engaged to anyone. I have a few questions to put to you, sir. Whilst I'm making these inquiries, you, Gwendolen, may wait for me below in the carriage.
Mamma.
In the carriage, Gwendolen. The carriage! Won't you take a seat, Mr. Worthing?